The Living Zen-podcast is a gift from the Victoria Zen Centre. If you enjoy it, please forget about making a donation. Instead, just share it with a friend that you think will enjoy it as much as you did. You may also consider purchasing the Living Zen-podcast app, which is available for iPod, iPhone, and Android. If you happen to visit or reside in Victoria, British Columbia, I'd like to invite you to attend the Tuesday evening Zen open house that takes place every week at the University of Victoria's Interfaith Chapel. This event is co-sponsored by UVic Multifaith Services and the Victoria Zen Centre. For more information, please visit our website at zenwest.ca. Just before we begin, can I ask you to take your hat off? Thanks. Yeah. Traditionally, in a zendo, Zen meditation hall, the heads and hands are uncovered. And there's certainly about 8 officers that should have caught you before you came in, so bad officers. This is a practice of awareness. I'm glad to see everyone is so on the ball. There's a reason. You'll notice when you come into the Zen meditation hall that there's a whole bunch of people that are dressed in black pajamas of one kind or another. And you might say, "Oh, what's going on here? Is this some kind of ninja training place? Or what's going on?" And if you investigate the Victoria Zen Centre, you find that when we hold courses, these orientation courses, one of the requirements is that you purchase this black practice uniform. And a lot of people really balk at it. They go, "Oh, I don't know about wearing this black pajamas. I don't know what's that all about." Zen practice, Buddhist practice as a whole, but Zen practice in particular, pays particular attention to becoming aware of this thing that we call a self. The way that we hold ourselves, the way that we create ourselves, fixate ourselves, attach to ourselves. We don't do this in a conceptual and an intellectual way. We do this in a very practical, experiential way. What we observe, I think the university is just such a wonderful place to see this, is that we live in a culture which really perpetuates, reinforces and encourages us to differentiate, to figure out who we are, to clarify, to make ourselves more and more distinct, to stand up and say, "This is who I am. These are the things that I like. These are the things that I don't like. This is what I'll do, and this is what I won't do." And what the teachings of Buddhism point to is that the more clearly this is defined, the more and more fixed we become on this idea, this construct, this character of self, the more and more places we find where we can't come into contact with the things that we like or want, where we are forced into contact with things that we don't like, that we don't want. And it's in this conflict between who it is that we think we are and the situation that we find ourselves in, what's arising in this moment, in that meeting, this meeting of two things that won't give way, we begin to suffer. Universities, our culture generally, is this place where we're constantly being exposed to information, to ideas, to objects and merchandise, which we are told will help us to do this, will help us to clarify and differentiate who you are. Be your own person. Wear this brand. So when we come to a practice place, we want to investigate where it is that we're hanging on, where it is that we're sticking, where it is that we're fixated, who it is that we think we are. So in the Zen Center, we ask right up front, we say, put on this black costume and see what happens. In a formal Zendo, this isn't a formal Zendo, so I don't expect people to follow all the rules. Maybe just take off your hats is enough. But in a formal Zendo, we're asked no jewelry, no adornments of any kind, no loud messages, not even watches. We turn the responsibility for time over to this jikijitsu, the person who rings the bell and leads us in our walking meditation. And what happens when we do that? What happens even when we think about doing that? Letting go of our boots, letting go of our rings and bangles and jingly things, and just allowing ourselves to come into the Zendo in a very clear, unadulterated, kind of straightforward way. We're not here to manifest self. We're not here to become distinct, to stand out, to show everybody just who we are. We're here to allow these things, allow these noises and shiny bits to melt away, to drop away, to allow the peak or the sort of eruption that we call a self to dissolve, to unify, to melt into the experience of harmony, dissolving into unity with the situation as it's arising in this moment. So when we engage in this activity of chanting, as we did just before the first period of seated meditation, we start with just this vocal harmonization. It starts with a hum. And this is a very powerful practice because we all walk in here as 40 some odd individuals, all with our own days behind us and all with our own thoughts bubbling away. And we sit down and there's a bell that sounds and a hum. And what we're asked to do is simply to connect, to let go of what's bubbling through your mind or bubbling through your body, and to allow yourself to melt into the sound, to become one with the activity that's arising as the practice of humming. And right away we can feel it. We can feel the self. We can feel our stickiness to ourselves, resisting that. What's this? This is very strange. But we sustain it for a little while, and after a few moments, even if we try it just a little bit, we find that it's actually very easy to allow ourselves to soften, to melt a little bit, to enter into practice together with all these people in this room, to enter into practice with this room itself. And just for a moment, this vast cosmos becomes the activity of humming. And already we find ourselves softening. Already we find ourselves more fully entering into this moment which arises before us, which arises as the complete activity of our lives. We don't come to meditation practice to become bigger. We don't come to meditation practice to know what it is to be a better I. This practice is an opportunity for us to find a place where we can let that armor down, where we can actually allow ourselves to be truly who we are. We're all seated together, sitting beside one another, supporting one another in this difficult practice of simply being in the unfolding activity of our lives as they are. Each of us comes, as I said, with our day behind us, with our lives behind us. And beside us are people who are overjoyed with successes, who are crushed by grief, burning with anger. And yet this practice, this form, allows us to sit side by side in mutual support. It allows us to let down the walls, let down the armor, let down our guard, and simply be with what's arising in our bodies, hearts, and minds in this moment. You don't need to do anything for that person beside you. All you need to do is be. In this activity, in this practice, this manifestation of simple seated meditation, we manifest completely, recognizing that between us there is no separation, there is no difference. When we allow this idea of who it is that we think we are to melt away, we find that already we are one with this person beside us. We are one with this person across from us. We are one with the floor. We are one with the ceiling. We are one with the walls around us. When we pay attention to the activity of our breath, we can see, we can witness, we can become aware experientially of the arising of this self-thinking mind. We can become aware of the difference between moments where we're completely engaged in the activity of simply being in our lives, moments where we're able to simply just experience what it is to breathe, what it is to walk, what it is to sit, what it is to chant, what it is to listen. And the moments where this mind, this chattering mind, thinking about itself, worrying about itself, reinforcing itself, arises. We can witness as we sit that it arises and dissolves. Paying attention to this activity that we're doing, paying attention to where we are, what we're doing, allows us to over and over again just let go. Just dissolve into the activity that we're engaged in. Here it's this simple activity of sitting. The benefit, I don't want to use the term benefit, the gift of practice is that this awareness, this ability to dissolve, to let go of the self that we're so concerned with, we're so obsessed and neurotic about, the ability to let it drop is not something that's restricted to seated meditation. This environment is an opportunity. The support of many people around us to keep us on task is an opportunity and a gift. But the true gift of practice is that we're able to walk out into our lives and throughout our days when we're in difficult spots in relationship, when we're in difficult spots in our work, or at other times during the day, we can take a moment and remember, take a moment and connect with the activity of our breath. Take a moment and allow this self that's becoming so big, so important, so precious, to just drop. Let it go for a moment and allow yourself to completely immerse yourself in the activity that's before you. As I say over and over and over again, this moment is the activity of your life. There is nowhere else for you to be. There's nothing else for you to do. We cannot act at any other point in our lives than in this unfolding activity of this very moment. As we practice this simple act of becoming aware of this dynamic activity, and allowing ourselves to dissolve and manifest harmoniously with it. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.